I never liked Boston baked beans. It never settled well in my stomach. So why should we ever, as New Yorkers, have to digest anything from Boston other than an arse kicking? And let me tell you one thing, all nicked up family, the Knicks, as Omari said, are back. And if you don't know, now you know. What's up, Boston? That's all I gotta ask you guys. What is up? All those bullets in the gun, and y'all couldn't hit nothing. We had an epic collapse by the Boston Celtics 2 times in a row right now. Anybody who was following the show earlier, we spoke about if the Knicks won, that we would be back in the house. And I told my boys right here, they might have thought I was clowning. I said, I'll see you in 2.5 hours. Well, it wasn't quite on the dot of 2.5 hours, but we find ourselves right here in the midst and the New York Knicks. The Knicks that everyone wrote off, the ones that the pundits are chirping about, that how we gonna get our stomped up in Boston. Well, we came there, took all AT. We rewrote the Constitution. The Constitution says New York, New York. That's how we do it. The Knicks is back. What up, Boston? And Joe, how do you feel tonight?
On top of the world, baby. On top of the world.
Scarface up in
On
here.
top of the world. And I can vouch to everybody who's watching. He said that. I will see you in 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Big jack-o'-lantern smile on his face. I am on top of the world right now. I can't even I did not see this happening. I did not see this happening. We got to go back to the Garden and take care of business, man. Ooh. To close these guys out on the Garden would be everything.
Let me tell you, Brunson had a terrible game.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Towns didn't have a great game. OG Anunoby did not have a great game. The guy who was having a great game, which is the scariest thing, was Josh Hart. He was leading scorers. He was the guy who was unfortunately the go-to guy. And then that dude that came from the Brooklyn Bridge all the way over to Manhattan, who's got the name on the back to vouch that he crossed the bridge at some point. And in fact, he crossed bridges. Started putting some respect on Mikal Bridges' name because that fourth quarter he owned.
And the last game's fourth quarter he owned too. He's becoming Mr. Fourth Quarter. And you know something, man? It's the beautiful thing about this team. They don't consistently put somebody always steps up because they are 5 legit impact players deep, and somebody's going to get it done.
Absolutely. I mean, I was sitting there, I'm watching the game, and I'm watching the swings of the game, and I know the Knicks were down by a lot of points at one point, but I just never felt like Boston had a hold of this team. It seems like every time that the Knicks were looking like they were down and out, Boston did what they've been doing. They've shot terrible from 3, and they've been all relying on the 3-point shot. And when it wasn't falling, and it was not falling like rain, I mean, it was falling like bricks. I mean, they built 2 tenement projects right in the middle of Boston, TD Garden. There's a brick house in TD Garden in 2 sections of the floor because they were throwing up some damn bricks tonight. And what happened was the Knicks, much like they've shown in game 1 and other games, they stay patient, they stay consistent, and they stay mentally engaged no matter how bad it looks for them. And what you saw was a team mentally tough. I said it before with the Detroit series. I said this may have been the best thing that happened. The Knicks was facing Detroit in round 1 because that was a wake-up series. They had to come ready every game or Detroit was going to hand them their lunch and take their cookies. So it's just exactly what it is. The Knicks got tougher. And Boston, we see what I believe is a little bit of arrogance, having beat the Knicks all season long, and they were reading their clips on the paper about how the Knicks, they can't beat all the top-notch teams. And I think much like we've seen during the last dance of Michael Jordan, he took things personal, and I think these Knicks took things personal too. What do you think about that, Joe?
I think they took it personal, absolutely. I think they have a lot to prove. They've looked like a different team, and this is something that I talked about with Eric in our earlier show. Was they just look different? The urgency's there, the defensive intensity is there. I was looking at the stats for the game while you were talking right now, and we got out rebounded. They went to the line more than us. We only shot 29% from three.
Mm-hmm.
So not a big difference there. But what we brought to the table was clutch shooting in key instances, defensive intensity, turnovers, all of those kind of like X variable things that we brought to the table. Because you look at the stats right now, it doesn't make sense how we won.
No.
But we were clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely clutch when it mattered. They went dark. They went quiet. They went cold. We stepped up, and we are up 2-0. I can't even believe that we beat them twice in the Garden.
You know, they reminded me, Boston, I mean, to use a little more of a boxing term, Boston was trying to throw haymakers while the Knicks were boxing, technically.
Yeah.
Doing technical boxing. They were counterpunching. They were moving. They were bobbing and weaving, whatever you want to call it. They were not getting hit by those big punches. They might have got a little staggered. You know, they didn't get overwhelmed by the big punches that Boston was trying to throw. Because the foregone conclusion has been with the Knicks that at three, you know, once you got them up with the three ball, the Knicks are going to collapse. That's been the story of all year long, no matter what team they faced. And now we're seeing a Knicks team that's saying to us or to the world right now, we are in two different seasons. Yeah, we might have dropped the ball a little bit, and you don't want to drop the soap. They didn't drop the soap. They dropped the ball. They haven't dropped the soap yet. In this postseason, I guess that's what they were preparing everybody to know. Yeah, we dropped a little bit of the ball during the regular season, but nor did we didn't drop the soap yet. We didn't get behind the ball and drop the soap yet. So the Knicks have come out and they're running this thing like a prison yard ball. They're just coming out and going all in. Let's bring Eric in. I think he's arrived.
But you know something also, we have to give credit to the coaching. This is twice in a row on the road that we've come down from a large deficit, chipped away at it, played solid basketball. Coaching's got to play a part in that. So nothing for nothing. We've crucified him on this show, but I got to give
him credit.
Got to give the whole thing credit. It's incredible.
This was, to me, in my opinion, this has been some of his best coaching these last couple of games because you've seen him think outside of the box. There would have been a time you would have seen, like we saw Mitch out there, and I was yelling at the TV, I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know the foul situation. I'm like, you bring OG in. Don't let him foul him again. But
then they put him in the bonus, and
so
went from there.
Well played, Eric. I told you, 2.5 hours. I see you later. And here we are.
You did. You believed. You did believe. You were the one who believed. I will say this, and Ty, it's funny because during the season was going on, you kept saying why the Knicks are waiting for a role player literally to get them right. And he has been the difference in the first two games with him on the court. They were plus 13 in the game one. They were plus 19 tonight.
Yeah.
He has been the difference in these games.
Yes.
And it doesn't make sense in a lot of aspects. It really doesn't, but that's been the case. Brunson was bad again tonight. I hate to say it. He was not good. He had a big shot. Yes, he had a big three-point shot. He hit big shots. We know that. He was not great. Towns was better, much better tonight, played a better game, was more of a focal point, had a huge three-point play as well. So he was there in the clutch. But it was Bridges again, and it was Robinson. Those were the two difference makers in this game. And man, I feel like I'm watching 90s basketball. It's crazy to say, but they won 91-90. Like, think about that.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
It was Knicks basketball. It was 90s Knicks basketball, no doubt about it.
Love the physical play. Love the no calls.
Yeah, well, that was the key thing.
Love it.
I think that played a little bit into Boston. I mean, I know they were getting, to me, like Eric said, the refs got the memo. The Knicks weren't getting no calls. So when anybody wants to poo-poo, oh, the Knicks got mugged. Brunson got mugged on that play from White when he fell into him.
Towns has gotten mugged the entire series.
I mean, it's just been a very ugly game, but the Knicks probably wanted it to be as ugly as it is. That's the thing about it. Their game is more geared towards this low scoring, drag it out. Hopefully you win in the end. Like I said, Brunson's clutch because he's been put in situations to have to score. So when we look at that aspect of the whole thing, this is a Knicks series. The low scores and the grinding it out. Boston's used to coming out and annihilating teams. But I told you guys before, I wanted them to play Orlando. I just wish Suggs was healthy because Orlando always gave Boston problems because of the physicality and the defense that they play. Because Mosley's a hell of a coach down there in Orlando.
He is.
And you got Paolo and you would have got the Wagner dudes. You got that toughness, but they didn't have enough talent to overcome Boston. But I know they've always played them extremely tough. And now we're seeing Boston mentally go back to that team that we wondered all those years why they never won the title. And they're regressing back to those habits of Brown is non-existent. He hasn't showed up. He hasn't showed up. KP showed up more than he did. And KP played fewer minutes. Really, it's Tatum and Dye. And who's taking him out of that game? OG Anunoby's giving him problems.
That's the other thing. And we saw it last year too. Porzingis is really a huge part of what they do. And when he's not healthy or playing right,
absolutely,
they're not the same team.
Nope.
And go ahead, Joe.
I think Barkley said the same thing on the halftime show, is that Porzingis was the one that made them special.
Yeah. Me and Eric have talked about it a lot. We're like, that's the dude. I mean, we wanted him on the Knicks in the backup roles to bring him in. When they got him, that put them over the edge. But we're sitting here now. The unicorn doesn't look like a unicorn. He's always been battling injuries even while he was here in New York. It's nothing new. But without him, they're not special. They're just a really good team. And right now, we are the better team. I know that's shocking for the world, but the Knicks right now are the better team playing against these guys. And it's not probably due to the fact that they got better 1-2 punch talent as much as it's about that they have a high belief in what it is they do. In Boston, we're seeing once those shots stopped falling in the beginning, because they were throwing up some tenement buildings early and often, it's like they're going to end up allowing the Knicks to be back in this game, despite that little bit of a cushion that they had built at one point.
Well, think about it. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, think about it. Brunson hasn't played well at all yet, really, in either game. He's had moments, and he had a stretch in game one, but the Knicks are doing this with their best player not playing great so far. So there's another level he can go to, too.
Yeah.
There's more there for this team to have. Like I said, Towns was great tonight. Efficient, 17 rebounds.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like he was really good tonight. And like if Brunson plays to his all-star level, like I said, that's another level the team can go to.
Well, that's a really good point because we're not playing out of our minds right now. And there is plenty of room for us to improve. But what we're seeing is a team that is playing confident and disciplined basketball when they're down. They're not panicking. Mm-hmm. They're going about it in a workmanlike fashion and making themselves back into the game. And they know they have those clutch players at the end. Mikal Bridges has been clutch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Brunson, who's more clutch than him in the fourth quarter. I mean, they're playing a team that lives and dies by the three. And if they're not hitting their threes, I'll take us and our clutch guys hitting twos and the occasional threes. I came in really pessimistic into this series, and I was happy with the Detroit series, but I am feeling so
It's impossible not to now. Like, it's impossible not to start dreaming now. Like I said after game one, now you can dream. It's impossible in game two. It's impossible not to dream now.
Yeah.
Again, teams play their best at MSG. So I'm not saying Boston can't win. They still can. They're a championship team. They have all of that stuff. They've all the cliches. They have it. So it would not surprise me, but they still have to win 4 out of the next 5 games, which is a tough task for anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Knicks right now, same thing with Indiana. Both teams in the East, the lower seed in the semifinals, have taken the first 2 games on the road. So we head into another Knicks Pacers.
I think
classic.
so.
We'll see.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
I don't either.
But I think about if Boston is out of the way, what we have in front of us, and that's winnable.
Of course it's winnable, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just I'm excited in a way right now that I haven't been this season.
Yeah.
Of course not. I mean, again, I didn't think they'd beat Detroit. They beat Detroit. I definitely didn't see them winning the first 2 in Boston on the road.
Yeah. No.
But here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here we are. So they always say that's why you play the games, right? That's the famous Chris Berman quote from NFL Primetime. That's why you play the games. Because everything on paper is one thing. But once you toss the ball up or kick the ball off or whatever sport you're talking about, that's when the what's it called? The decisions are really made. That's when the decisions really happen. So it's crazy. I wasn't home because a buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey, let's go out and watch the game." And I was like, "Yeah, they're probably not going to win tonight." So
yeah,
I said it was a show after the game. I'm like, "We're probably not going to win." So I'll be honest. I obviously did not think they were winning this game.
Eric didn't listen to Negro Damas. He didn't listen to Negro Damas. Let me tell you what it is. Negro Damas spoke it into existence, and Eric ignored Negro Damas.
You manifested it.
Negro Damas said, "Let there be light and let us tonight." That is what's going on, Boston. Hey, how's things going in Boston?
Seriously, I mean,
Hey, Boston, how you doing?
How you doing?
The conversations on Sports Talk Radio in Boston tomorrow are going to be awesome. I wish I should probably log in and listen to like ESPN Boston or something just to hear what they're saying, because. Man, it'd be lovely to listen to their fans talk and see how they feel right now.
They're talking
that horrible accent.
Yeah, park the car in the yard. Park the Knicks car in the yard because y'all gonna stay in y'all yard. Let me tell you. But they were talking on mad crap because the one thing I was a little pissed off was that people are making it seem like the Boston lost the game and the Knicks just happened to win. Well, that story's over tonight. The Knicks have been beating Boston. You know, as much as we can talk about how talented Boston are and they deserve all the respect in the world, they are champions. So no one's taking anything from them. So we can say one time was a fluke, 2 times is a habit. The Knicks have a habit right now of beating Boston at the Knicks game, not at the whatever. And you're looking at the Knicks defense, I don't think it's getting enough credit. I don't think it's getting enough credit because you watch some of those shots. Like at first it was like the shots were uncontested. We heard Tim Legler go off about the contested. I don't know if anybody watched that, but he went on a whole diatribe. Like I said, I think he had money on the game. That's how pissed off he was because he was talking about what kind of shots they were throwing up and that they were not less. They were contested. They weren't left open as most people are led to believe. So we saw tonight the Knicks clamped down and put a lot of pressure on Boston. You know, Al Horford looked like his age tonight when he usually is the one that hits these big shots. And he just didn't have nothing, maybe a little overusage of him also by Missoula. There's a lot of things. And can I believe it? I'm going to say this. I think Tom Thibodeau is out coaching Joe Missoula. That's crazy.
I don't know if you guys have seen the box score, but quick, who do you think led the Celtics in plus minus? I'm just putting that out there.
Pritchard.
Probably.
No, not Pritchard.
KP probably did.
Luke Cornett.
Wow. The Knicks spy.
Yeah.
He's given some good minutes, actually.
He does. He knows his role. He plays his role very well.
He was good.
I always like needling Joe about it because Joe used to say he was a bum and he's not worth anything. And I'm like, now he's played big minutes last year on a championship team. He plays big minutes this year.
I thought the Knicks, it would have been good if the Knicks had kept him. He was coming from the G League. He always showed like a little bit of a game there.
So
he was a hell of a shot blocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, great timing on his shot.
And the three guys who played for the Knicks off the bench, Robinson, Payne, and McBride, all led the team in plus minus. Robinson was plus 19, McBride was in the plus 9, and Payne was plus 4. So do with that what you will.
Introduction.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't as excited after game 1 because I was like, yeah, Boston might not have been ready. But today, I honestly really thought Boston was going to come in and win by 15, 20 points. And so the fact that we're sitting here up 2-0, I'm much more excited tonight than I was on Monday night. I can honestly say that. Now we have 2 days off, 3 days. Yeah, they play Saturday.
They play Saturday.
Yeah, so Thursday, Friday off.
I'm gonna have my father-in-law here who's a Boston fan. He's gonna be in for a visit.
The Garden is going to people.
Oh my God!
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Like who was it? Jeff Teague. Shout out to Jeff Teague who says, "Oh, the real Garden is in Boston." All right, my dude. All right, I'm just saying. All right.
I am hypercritical of Knicks fans who over celebrate. So like when they win these first and second round games and like first games 1 and 2 in the rounds, I'm like, come on, act like you've been there before. You haven't done anything yet, right? And a lot of them are young and haven't seen the success we've seen. So I totally understand some of it. But if they were by chance, if they do win on Saturday and they're up 3-0. Yo, celebrate all you want. I'm not going to be mad at it this time. I will totally understand because if they go up 3-0, again, jumping the gun, not saying, like I said, Boston is a great team. Still could definitely win both games in New York. Would not surprise me either if they did. But I will say this. If the Knicks go up 3-0, celebrate all you want. Go crazy, go wild. I will not. This is the one time I'll be like, you know what? Go for it.
The thing I'm holding on to is that they have to win 4 out of the next 5.
Exactly.
I like our chances with that.
I do too.
I just think I think once they get to the Garden, like Eric pointed out, and you pointed out as well, Joe, some of the Knicks didn't have even good games.
No.
That's you're not gonna hold Brunson to what he did the last 2 games. I mean, albeit he was clutch in game 1, tonight is a game you just don't allow the Knicks to run out with. You know, Eric, I was talking about it yesterday with we were talking about the Pacers Cavs game. I'm like, if the Pacers don't beat Cleveland last night, then they don't deserve to win that series. Cleveland was undermanned.
Yeah,
so it applies to Boston.
No Garland, no Mobley.
And no what's his name? No
Hunter.
No Hunter. You have the 3 of your chess pieces are out. Same thing with the Knicks. You have an opportunity. You're watching Brunson limp through the whole game. Basically, he was just not good. He was not good. For all we love about Jalen, he was the complete opposite. He's entitled to have a bad game, but he had probably his worst game of the postseason. So we're looking at that. And now you got Karl-Anthony Towns. He wasn't like scoring 40, 50 points. He had a really solid game. But a lot of your offense was floating through Josh Hart for a majority of the game.
Yeah, a good game.
Boston can't beat the Knicks at home when Brunson's not great. Cat is good, solid, not superstar solid as he usually
OG ain't got nothing.
OG
did nothing today,
Bridges took 3.5 quarters to get activated, and he went on a nice stretch, like his own 7-0 run, 9-0 run, where he was just not stoppable. You basically let Mitchell Robinson, a guy who can't hit free throws, you let Cameron Payne, which we don't know what he is. He might hit the bomb before he gets out. He may take some shots sometimes. You got Deuce, who's come alive, and you adding Bridges. That's really where the game lied. And with Josh Hart as the only starting 5, that was actually leading the starting 5. Who would ever, pencil in Josh Hart for 20-something points? Who the hell does that? That's a scary thing. If that and Boston couldn't beat them, they're in trouble.
I mean, again, the other scary thing, well, not scary thing, but the other thing to note is that Jason Tatum hasn't had a great game yet either.
Yeah.
So, that's the other thing. Like you expect these guys eventually, him and Brunson both, to have one of those games where you're like, okay, that's Jalen Brunson, or that's Jason Tatum. But yeah, I mean, it's a little alarming that the first 2 games for Boston, neither Tatum or Brown were great at home.
At home.
Right. And you kind of expect that, especially tonight, where I normally am not one to talk about officiating, but if there was a call, Boston got it.
They got it.
They did. They got it. There was a couple of times, I said this in the chat, Cat got 2 3-point plays against Horford where there was minimal contact. Then he does 2 guys on him. He does a rip through, throws up a ball, got hit worse than either of those. And they didn't call anything.
Nothing.
So, I mean, you could look at the OG dunk that they called an offensive foul.
Which I'm
maybe, like, I don't know.
I think White's foot was on that line. That right foot, I think, went over that line.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a iffy call tonight, Boston got the call, and that's fine. Game 2, they're down. Home team, they're down 0-1. Yes, that's usually how it goes. The home team usually gets those calls, but there was a lot of stuff I was watching. I'm like, they would give it to Boston, and then like Brunson would get hit. Or I'm like, they're not. It wasn't even. That's all I'll say. It was not even tonight. So,
and they survived, and they won.
They did. They did survive.
All the trickeries in the world did not work. But that's what I'm saying. You had the game 2 times in a row. You got to look at it this way. Boston had the Knicks pinned 2 straight games. They were up 20 points. I forgot tonight. I think they were up 20 something at one point. At
home, right?
And at home. And if you can't seal that envelope, you don't deserve to mail it. This is bottom line. You don't deserve to mail.
Don't you get the feeling though, with like 2 minutes left, if the score is close, that we're going to walk out with it? Just after watching this playoffs and what we did with Detroit and what's happening out now.
Yeah. Towards the night.
My confidence level, even when we had good teams in those close games and closeout minutes, was always really poor. Like, oh, geez, what's going to happen now? Mm-hmm. But that's turned. I have confidence in this team in those moments now. And it's just, again, it's just a clutch factor, man. We have the clutch factor.
Right. Now that you have Jalen Brunson, right? So, and
others.
Right, but mostly him, right?
Yeah.
Like mostly you have that guy, right?
Yeah, he's the head of the snake. There's no doubt about it in the closing minutes. But we've had others step up big time in the fourth quarter as well.
No, Bridges, both games. Bridges. What can you say?
You can't say
nothing to say.
Mikal Bridges just he's like he said that
he was 0 for 8. He was 0 for 8 at one point tonight. Finishes on a 6. Finishes 6 for 10. He shot the rest of the game. I mean,
I think you're seeing really the what we know about those Nova dudes. Those Nova dudes. One they don't quit. That's the first thing, and they come up because last year was Dante hitting that big damn shot.
Yeah.
They show that mental toughness that I'm going to show Jay Wright instilled in them about this game's not over until the buzzer sounds. Because even the last title that they won in Villanova, you saw Jay Wright walk off when the shot was in the air, and he said, boom. He didn't even stay around and look. He just knew it was in from that. I can't think of the guy, Butler, I think it was, may have been his name. But that's the confidence that these guys walk around with on their shoulders, believing they will out-hustle you, outwork you, and they'll be more clutch than you. And they're proving that right now.
Before you guys got on earlier tonight when I was doing my extra long monologue, like I said, I brought that up. I said they have this team, the Knicks have championship pedigree. And I wasn't talking about NBA, but you have 3 guys on this team who won 2 national championships at Villanova.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be professional basketball that you build this, championship resume. If you know what it's like to win games, and the NCAA tournament, the one thing about it is it's win or go home. You lose one game, you're out. So they understand that grind, and they've been successful in that kind of a grind. And I think those 3 guys that we have, and Dante from last year, but the 3 we have left, like they play that way. They play like they believe every possession is life or death, and you need to win every possession. So Bridges, like I said, over 8. He gets going. I noticed Brunson looking for him then, saying, I got to get Mikal the ball. Like, you see these things. These guys just have an unspoken language, and that's the cool thing about having them together.
Yes.
So that's the one thing I will say about having 3 guys who are familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Like, they could probably just have a look, and like Brunson could probably say, oh, Mikal's going now, so let's get him the ball. Right? Like, those kinds of things that you have, this unspoken language that you have with guys you've been playing with for a long time, you can't put a price on that. That I'll grant them. So it's been really, really cool to see in these 2 games at least.
Absolutely.
To see Bridges have those kinds of moments, because I've been harder on him than anybody, and these 2 games he's been fantastic when it counted.
You've been hard on him for good reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Unwarranted.
Not undeservedly so. Let's be clear about that.
No, yeah. You weren't picking on him. He needs to be picked on.
Yeah.
He wasn't showing up for the value that he was traded for and what we expect from him. But credit to him, we brought him here for this, for the postseason. We fell short last year in Indiana, and everybody said, wow, if there was only one more guy. If we only had Mikal Bridges, the other Infinity Stone, everybody was saying, perhaps we get past Indiana and we're playing Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. And now you bring him in, and this would have been what we expected from him last year if he was here. A guy who's showing up when it matters the most, in the postseason play. And, what I found funny, because, I brought it up, Eric, last night. I said, damn, are people sleeping in Cleveland? Like, it's so quiet. I found the same thing with Boston tonight. This was in New York. And you got a team that you're fighting against to stay alive or even just to win. The Garden is loud the whole damn game. There was a time with Boston, and Eric said last night maybe Cleveland audience was nervous, which they had every right to be, obviously, with the ending they had. But Boston sounded like a nervous arena tonight. Like they were waiting for the Knicks to go, uh-oh, when are they going to come back? And when those 3-pointers start clanking and the home team or the home crowd started going, it was
I think they're shell-shocked, if I'm being honest. I think they're just really shook.
You're right. They got – because their team, I didn't see no one, and usually I would think it'd be like a Jrue Holiday. But there was no one on the Celtics to say, hey, let's get over here. There was none of that on the floor. It was Mazzulla calling timeouts, but the leadership, which has always used to be a question with the Celtics until last season, the leadership has always been, whose team is this? Who's the alpha male on the team that's going to rally the troops? And it had been from Brown to Tatum. No one could ever know who the dude was. And it looked like tonight, like none of them wanted it. They looked like they were on a three-peat. They looked like they were trying to three-peat, not two-peat, because they just seemed mentally checked out for a large portion of the game. There was no rhyme or reason to what they did. Their drives, their three-point shots, you could see them clanking them, and they're coming a little short. The Knicks are in Boston's head, whether they want to admit it or not.
From an injury perspective, too, you notice that Jrue Holiday tweaked that hamstring again.
Yeah,
you saw that, right?
He's the one. He's the one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they're a little banged up, totally. Like I said, we talked about Brown before. Joe, you just brought up Holiday. We know KP with the sickness. What's ever going on there? So yeah, I mean, they have key things. Yeah, they have key things going on to key players. But hey,
that's the game.
That's the game, exactly. Like no one said boo last year when we were down to our like fifth guy playing. Like we were banged up too last year.
Ricky Lito on the phone to see if he could come play.
What did I say in the thread the other day? Sweep the leg.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta you play who's in front of you. That's all you can do.
Sweep the leg.
Yep, that's it. You play the team in front of you. Mm-hmm. That you don't apologize for it. If the Knicks were to go on, and the Knicks go on and win the series, and then win an NBA championship, I'm not gonna be like, oh well, Boston was banged up and that. No, we'll be like, you know what, we won the championship. That's it.
I'm
You
taking
know?
it with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel no
It's
sympathy.
not like a bubble thing. That way I would be like, oh, we won the championship over the bubble.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that even if we won that. I said that I'm standing on business. If we won in the bubble, I've been like, that don't count.
Right.
Somebody put that little garbage ring. We won 82 games of sweat and tears. That's what we wanted from.
If we won in the bubble, I'd be running around naked in my neighborhood with just a mask. Just a mask. Screaming. My N95.
I've never felt weirder about watching an NBA Finals than I felt that year.
Yeah, I never.
It was so weird watching games without people, without fans,
without road trips.
Yes,
that's the thing. The road. If it was without fans and you were traveling, still maybe I say not as bad, but the fact that one, you didn't have to travel, and second of all, you didn't have to deal with opposing fan base, because there's a difference between playing in I don't know, Miami. People show up late. You know,
yeah, they were in Orlando. They were in Disney World. Like it literally felt like a high school all-star game type of aspect.
Exactly.
Like it was just a very weird watch, and I tried to get into it because I'm like, oh, it's basketball, and of course during COVID we were all like, shit, we want anything to watch. Like,
it's like a throwaway watch. Like, all right, I need something to watch. I didn't. Shout out to Jonathan Clark, because I told him the other day, I said, I don't count that ring. I said I wouldn't count if it was the Knicks. I just don't. I don't believe in these. If it was a shortened season, I don't like those either.
We don't asterisk that one. We asterisk in that one. That one. We're gonna throw that on. But yeah, like I'm not gonna apologize for winning. You know, I could say last year, yeah, the Pacers wound up beating a Knicks team at like a quarter of their strength. You could say that. It's not technically wrong, but they're not gonna say that. They don't need to apologize for beating us. They beat the team in front of them. That's it. They beat the team we put out there.
And we have a group of guys that fight. It's not like nobody's gonna come in there and just roll over us and like we're not gonna be competitive. So I'm assuming that any team that's injured or has injuries, that should never stop you from being competitive. You know, you might lose out, but if you lay down, then that's on you too. So I don't think that you're like a team that's healthy versus one not healthy. All those guys still get paychecks, so they're going to come out and play hard. It's just because the old Knicks could lose a game against a team that's not as good. This is possible. Even if we were full strength, we could lose to a team that is less talented, that is just strapping harder than us, because you can get taken on any given night. You know, and I think that's what has happened with Boston. The Knicks are a strapping bunch of dudes. And Boston is using more of the finesse aspect, and they're trying to rely just on talent alone, and that's not going to cut it.
To Ty's point about what you just said, let's not lose sight of the fact that the Knicks lost 2 games in the first round to Detroit at home.
Yep.
So let's not lose sight of the fact. We should be excited. Yes, we're up 2-0. Yes, but go into the Garden on Saturday with the mindset that you're down 2 games.
Yeah.
Right? Go into the Garden and remember that, hey, Detroit beat us twice here.
Yeah.
You know, just keep that fresh in your mind as you approach this game, because yes, it's better to be up 2-0 than down 0-2. 100%. Totally agree. But the Knicks haven't been a great home team in the playoffs so far this year.
And even during the season, we were at our best on the road.
Yeah.
We have not really defended home court that well yet. We were one of the better teams in the NBA as far as road record goes, but it's exciting though. And I love playoff basketball. I love being on the edge of my seat. All those years that we didn't have this. I remember we were talking when we first started getting back into the playoffs with the Randall years. And even though we lost it against Atlanta, I remember talking to Ty and going, still, it's nice to be playing basketball, to be watching playoff basketball again. We lost, but we get to watch playoff basketball.
And the city, New York is lit. let's just keep it a beat. When we talk about, I know everybody, oh yeah, homers. There is nothing like when New York Knicks are relevant in New York. I
New
know
York's a basketball town.
yeah, we're a Yankee country. Don't get me wrong. I love my Yanks. Don't get me wrong. But there's some, like I said, you see people in the streets and you see this logo flashing. And if you're a Knicks fan, you can sit there. You look like you met long lost family because you're talking about it like, oh man, can you believe it? You talk about the nervousness of being a Knicks fan. You talk about the excitement of being a Knicks fan. There's a lot of different emotions attached to when the Knicks are relevant. So it's like people don't, if you're not from here, you wouldn't quite obviously understand it. But man, when playoff basketball, this is all you'll talk about in New York is the Knicks when they're relevant. So we're getting a chance to at least some good basketball finally.
The last time we were in the finals, I lived 14 blocks from the Garden. And it was crazy. The energy was just everywhere you went. It was just everything was about the Knicks. It's a great place to be in, a great city to live in when the Knicks are winning.
Absolutely.
It's true. There's no energy sports wise like in New York when the Knicks are good.
Yeah.
When the Knicks are a good team, it's different. It's totally different in New York. The Yankees don't have that.
Yep.
As great a franchise that the Yankees have been, because I think people just expect the Yankees to do that. So you have an expectation with the Yankees. With the Knicks, we don't have that expectation. So when they are good or great, the city just gets behind that.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling. And let's be honest, the Knicks are the only real basketball team in New York. Sorry, Brooklyn Nets fans, but they're not competing with the Mets or the Giants. Giants have the Jets. Like, there's no competition really. It's the Knicks, and the Nets are like here. It's a huge gap.
You almost forget to play here, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really know of a Brooklyn fan, so I'm just saying, not being funny. I just don't know anybody who's like, oh,
I liked Brooklyn better when the Russian was there.
I'll say this. Every time I see someone with a Brooklyn Nets hat on, I am compelled to say, are you a fan or do you just like the, I don't say that to Knicks fans. Like, I don't say that to someone wearing a Knicks hat, but if I see a Brooklyn hat or something with the Nets, I'm like, fan or you just like the hat or design?
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't offend people. They don't say it does, but that's my reaction when I see something like that.
Yeah, it's the Knicks town. It always has been. It always will be.
For sure.
Yeah, well,
gentlemen.
We have something to be happy about for tonight, at least. Celebrate this, Knicks fans, because and get readjusted later, because you got to go back into the Garden.
Enjoy tonight. You can enjoy it tomorrow, and then Friday flip to Saturday. Like, Friday's time to start thinking about Game 3 and get nervous again. Like, that's kind of how it works. Get nervous again on Friday, and then Saturday you just sit there waiting for the game to start. Like, okay, counting down the time. That's usually what I'm doing. Like, what time's the game?
Yeah. You gotta prep. People don't realize that about Knicks fans. Like, there's some emotional stuff that goes through watching a whole Knicks game. Because
very true. It's a very true statement. There's a very There's a lot of prep. There's mental prep you got to get ready for. You go through at least I do. I go through all the scenarios in my head.
Got to do your Knicks affirmations.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about it on the show before, but in my head, like, if we weren't having the show, I'd be sitting there, I'm like, all right, this is what they need to do, and this is what I think they should do. And I go through all that in my head.
Then you go through your little itineraries, like, televisions are too expensive, don't break it. Don't throw something at the TV. Flat screens are not cheap no more. You're paying tariffs on TV.
It's so true. Like, it's weird. It's a weird. I'm not like that with my other teams, but the Jets I am. I'm not lying. The Jets I am. The Jets I am very much like that. But like the Yankees and Islanders, I'm not like that. But when it comes to the Knicks and the Jets, I am totally that way. I'm like, all right, this is what has to happen. This is what has to happen in the game. This is what I would do. This guy needs to do this. That's totally how I am. I'm
Were you
psyched
pumped
over
when
it.
the Island just won the lottery?
I actually, yes, I was surprised, and yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Yeah.
They haven't won it since they picked Tavares in 2009, so it's been a long time. So everything going on with the team, with the changing of the upper management and things going on with the Islanders, with that, there's a lot of uncertainty, but it's nice to have the first pick overall. So
Mhm.
at least one of my teams won the lottery for once.
About time somebody in New York won the lottery. There's
Right? No team I root for.
usually.
Yeah, very nice. So, but I'm looking. The top two guys are very good players. They'll both be on the NHL level next year. So, I'm happy to see what's going to happen there.
Craig.
Oh, Craig is a bigger hater than any of us. So let me put that out there. Like, I've been skeptical, but I'm still like, he already had them losing. He had them losing already. That was it. So he knows it's true. He's being quiet, but he knows it's true. He had them losing. He probably had them losing both these games, probably game 3. Because that's Craig. That's see?
He said I did. Boy, I like them when you're wrong. I can tell you that much.
I forgot. Craig, when's your big vacation coming up for your 10-year?
It's usually around this time, June-ish.
Yeah, I think he's set to go soon. I think he said.
Where you going though? When's your vacation?
I think he said he was going to like Italy and France, and he was going all over the place.
He's doing a cruise, he said.
Oh, a Mediterranean cruise. Oh, we got
back.
He
just got back on Thursday.
Oh,
happy belated anniversary, Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Congratulations to the missus.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
There you go, buddy.
Places I haven't been. I've been traveling all over the place. Haven't been to either of those places yet, though. They're on my list.
Nice.
Italy, France, and Spain.
I'm not sure
with that.
I'm glad you got it.
Yeah, on my list. I need to. Those are 3 places I want to go. So
Craig might be
Italy's nice. Italy's really nice.
My sister's actually there right now. She actually sent me a message on WhatsApp before because she had to ask me something, but she's actually over there right now in Italy. She says she's moving to Rome, and my sister is pretty religious.
Right,
so the fact that the Pope died and they're doing the conclave now, I'm like, you are like at the perfect spot.
I don't blame you, Craig. I went to all those places and I want to go back too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
Did you get to Barcelona, Craig? We're waiting on that.
What else did I have to hear?
Oh boy.
Yeah, he said Barcelona got there.
Yeah.
Traveling Craig, global Craig.
They had the most incredible man-made structure I've ever seen in my life. The most incredible thing I've ever seen that was made by a man. Basilica La Sagrada Familia. It was that famous architect Gaudi. That is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Unbelievable.
So far, the most incredible thing I've seen is probably St. Paul's in London.
Yeah.
Like that, all that stuff, just the fact that was all hand done at the time and the intricacy of all of that, like, it's amazing. It's just an amazing thing to know that they didn't have all the tools we have now, and just the detail of everything it's amazing. So
I felt that same way when I saw the statue of David too in Florence. That is really impressive when you see it in life. It's bigger than you think it is. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like I said, Italy's on the list. Spain is on the list. I definitely want to go to Paris.
Dude, I have travel envy. You've been doing all the cool stuff, man. I got to catch up.
I've been to all the big cities now, except like the major cities in the world, except Paris. So
Paris is nice.
And LA.
Paris is nice.
So yeah. But I've been to Tokyo, Munich. I think Munich is probably the bigger city in Germany than, even though Berlin is the capital. I think Munich is probably the more well-known. London. So yeah, and obviously I live in New York, so I take for granted that I live in New York, but I could go there whenever I want.
Yeah.
And then
Italians hate the French, apparently.
yeah, so
I think a lot of people hate the French.
yeah, they're not, and it's mutual. They hate us just as much. So the hate is mutual. But Ty, you do a lot of travel to the Caribbean and stuff, but you don't. I haven't heard you ever go over to Europe. Is that not something you want to do, or?
Well, somebody in my house would love to go to Italy.
You don't like the. You don't like the. You're not a flying fan.
I don't care about the. Well, I mean, long distance flights always. I'm always puzzled as to what I'm going to do on that flight because
sure
I'm not a sleeper, so it's like
right.
I can't sleep on a plane.
And nose pressed against the window the whole time. You know, I'd be awoke most of the time, but you know, I've always just had a fondness for being in warm areas. And you know, when I think about vacation, for me, it's always someplace that's warm with some nice tropical beverages and the ocean splashing and the heat. I just love that aspect. Like the European side, it never got my interest. I mean, not that I wouldn't go, but it just was never on the list. But you know, if somebody offered me a free trip, I'm not going to say no. You know, however,
well, the Mediterranean could get, you know.
Yeah, well, I know Craig inspired me listening to. He was telling me a little bit about it. Definitely, I would do something like that. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I like traveling. No doubt about that. I want to be warm.
I know you like travel. I know that.
I'd love to be warm, and wherever I'm going, that's usually my criteria. I want to be warm. These bones feel better when they're warm. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say, as much as I loved Iceland, and I loved it. The day I did my tour, where we went to like the water, the glacier, and all that, it was freezing. It was very cold.
Well, you went there in winter.
Yeah, I went there for like Christmas time, so yes, it was very cold.
Yeah.
But but it was.
Go to Greenland in winter.
I totally recommend going. But yeah, if you go in the warmer weather, even like around September-ish or so, everyone says it's like that's kind of the best time. Yeah, I would do that. Uh-oh, Josh Hart. We have Josh Hart stuff. Was Wally talking? Flamethrower.
Flamethrower Hart. He led the Knicks tonight, 23 points.
I know.
Highest score. That's crazy.
That's a crazy stat.
For him.
And it was so quiet. Like I there were times during the game, I'm like, he's playing terrible. He's horrible.
Like, he wasn't shooting the ball at all. I'm like, he must have shot it.
Oh shit, he got 23.
He outscored Carl Anthony Towns, who had 21.
I know.
Talk about this victory is like, yes.
Craig's talking about the coffee sound.
Wow, the racism's real by Craig right now. The racism is just.
Oh, we're gonna get banned.
The racism is just pouring out right now.
Oh, Craig's gonna get us.
Guys, I gotta drop off.
Hey, no doubt, fellas. Hey, let's toss this one up. Congratulations to New York Knicks 2-0. Let's go, baby. Let's go get this thing.
Yep. Look forward to game 3 on Saturday. And no, we're probably not going to do a show then, but we'll be back next week, no doubt. So
we'll definitely be back.
You all then.
We're back.
Greg, happy anniversary. Glad you had a great time. You and the wife.
Love you too, Craig.
Love you, Craig. You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
Take care, guys.
Take care.